Hello, I'm Sky Shipley, proprietor of Skyline Type Foundry. I'd like to give you a little brief tour about what we do here and how we do it. I like to call Skyline Arizona's premier type foundry. We are in fact the only type foundry in the state of Arizona and one of only 2 or 3 in the United States. There are a couple of international ones, so we are one of the few places in the world where individual letters of metal type are still being manufactured. That's what Gutenberg invented 500 and some years ago, which began a revolution in printed communication. We offer 143 different typefaces that we've cast here, 126 different decorative borders, about 8 or 9 different sets of ornamental initials, and 50 or 60 different collections of ornamental dingbats. What I'd like to do is show you just the whole process very briefly. It all starts here in the matrix library. All these cabinets here contain matrix fonts. We have over 3,000 different matrix fonts that we've collected up over the years. A matrix is an individual mold for one letter of type. Here's a set of them in the original box with the original 1924 inspection slip. A typical type font is 72 characters. You have your capitals, lowercase, points, and figures. This is a Thompson Typecaster. It was patented and begun production in 1907. We have 3 operational Thompsons here, a 4th just in the final stages of overhaul, and about 15 more in our off-site warehouse in various stages of completeness that we use for spare parts and possible future restoration. It's driven by a small electric motor in the base, a gear train up above that operates all these cam levers. This is a melting pot. There's a gas burner underneath that, and the metal in the pot is about 50 pounds of molten alloy. It's 70% lead, 10% tin, and 20% antimony. This is the pump piston. With every cycle of the machine, this piston drops down, injects metal into the mold. In front of the mold, we have the matrix holder in which the matrix for the character we're casting is clamped. Now, when we first start a casting project, we'll take the first matrix of the first character, which is the widest one in the font, typically a capital W. We'll put the matrix in, take a proof cast of it, and then we will examine the alignment of that character on the body. It has to be absolutely perfect. We align it vertically by altering the position of the matrix holder within the matrix carrier. By turning this knob, it's calibrated in thousandths of an inch. We can align it laterally by adjusting this adjustable wedge against the fixed wedge in the matrix carrier. This is not calibrated, so we have to count turns of the screw that adjust that wedge. And we use quarter turns of the screw as our unit of measure. A 1/4 turn of that screw equals 17 ten-thousandths of an inch. That's our unit of measure. We're that precise here. The third aspect of alignment is the width of the body of the type. Once we get the lateral alignment to the left edge of the piece of type, then we will adjust the width of the mold cavity by changing this mechanism here on the machine so that the width of the body exactly matches the width of the type. There again, our unit of measure on this calibrated knob here is 1/8 of a point, or 17 ten-thousandths of an inch. All this information is recorded on the casting log, so next time we cast that particular font, we don't have to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. All right, we're going to do some typecasting here. What we're casting is a 12-element collection of decorative corners. This is the 7th time we've cast this particular collection. It's been a popular seller. The type will be coming out here. Every time the piston drops, we'll cast a new piece of type in the mold. It will be pushed out through a set of trimming knives by this mechanism here. I'll be brushing the flash off of it and downloading it into the galley. In 1907, when this machine was designed, the industrial philosophy was this machine is made to do a job. If you break it or hurt yourself in the process, it's your own damn fault. Very, very different than the industrial philosophy today. So we do wear protective equipment. I've got a leather apron on here and safety glasses. And here we go. Let's make some type. When we take the first proof of a character, we use this tool called an alignment gauge to check the alignment under magnification. As necessary, we will adjust the matrix holder up and down so we perfect the vertical alignment of that piece of type with respect to the alignment standard. This information is then recorded on the casting log so we have it for our next casting. When the type is cast, it comes out looking like this. This wedge on the back end is called a jet. That's where the metal is injected from the back. There's a little device on the caster that automatically breaks this off, and then it's pushed past what's called a foot plow that leaves a clean groove where the rough spot was from the jet breaking off. So I've taken a proof cast here. I'm going to dress all four sides of it on this file. That just removes any little irregularities so I can look at it and get a clean view. We've done the vertical alignment on the type alignment gauge. We've done the lateral alignment just by visually looking at it under magnification and changing the lateral. And then what we'll do is look at the next proof under magnification, and we'll adjust this mechanism, this micrometer mechanism on the caster itself so that it changes the width of the mold cavity. You can actually see the mold cavity here and see how wide it is. We will use a micrometer on the body to get it exactly 36 points. Width of the body here with a micrometer. So we have there the three different parameters of alignment: the vertical, the lateral, and the width of the body. As the type is cast, we manually brush it for flash and we download it into the galleys. Each galley is calculated to hold one line of the finished font. The galleys will go in the galley cabinet. We have them in various places around the shop. And then once all the production runs, all 72 characters are done and in the galley, the next thing we'll do is take the overruns. We overrun each character by 2 or 3 pieces. We'll take that into the press room and build it up into a form and take a proof. We'll carefully examine the printed proof and make sure that all the characters are aligned correctly. There's no flawed matrices or anything else wrong. Once that proof is approved, both by the proprietor and the casterman, then we go ahead and print the labels and specimen cards of each new item in the press room, send the labels back out here, and then we move to the packing department. On this particular font, we have a couple of kerned characters. A kern is a piece of type where the face overhangs the body slightly. And we use little bits of chipboard cut to size to provide space or padding between those kern characters so the kerns don't break off. They are notoriously fragile. Kerns are the bane of type founders. I'll load 4 lines from that station and then move down to this one and load the next 4 lines. Once the entire font is packed, it goes over here to this table. Our type packer will lay them out and they get a final inspection. I will come out and give a detailed inspection to each font, make sure everything is just perfect on it. And when that's done, I'll stamp my seal of approval on the inspection slip, and it goes with the font. I, as the proprietor, have personally inspected this, and if there's anything wrong with it, it's my fault. Casting type is not all we do here at Skyline. We also restore presses. We're just starting to tear this completely down. It'll be dismantled nut from bolt, completely refinished, inspected, serviced, repaired as necessary, and we'll build it back up. It'll look like it just came out of the factory, and it will perform that way too. Did you notice the linotype machine back here in the corner? It's a line casting machine. It will cast an entire line of type at a time. Like our Foundry Typecaster, it uses matrices. This is a matrix for the linotype machine. It has a character engraved right in the edge there. So let's cast a line. Linotypes were mainstream by the turn of the 20th century. Every little country newspaper had 1 or 2 of these machines, and the big dailies had 30 or 40 of them going 24 hours a day. They're getting awfully rare these days. As far as I know, this is the only operating linotype machine in the entire state of Arizona now. One of the reasons we have this linotype is I had a project in mind of recreating the first newspaper ever published in Arizona Territory. That was done right here in Prescott in 1864. It was the Arizona Miner. Our local history museum, the Charlotte Hall Museum, has a little printing office with a vintage iron hand press of that same era, and we have long been dreaming about recreating the first territorial newspaper there in that office. So what I'm doing here at Skyline is I'm creating the metal type form to be used for printing that reproduction of the first newspaper in Arizona Territory. It's almost finished. We've got a few more details to do on it, and then we'll be taking a proof. I've been accused of being a neatnik. I have no plausible deniability on that, but I will say that the shop is not always this neat. Sometimes it's neater. Let's go take a look at the press room now. Walk this way. This is the Skyline press room. We have 9 platens and 3 cylinders in here. All of them have been completely restored and are operational. This is our most recent restoration right here. This is a 7x11 Chandler and Price. It's a very rare size. I only know of maybe half a dozen of these in existence. And it is now restored and operational. It was rescued from an abandoned tenement building in the worst part of St. Louis.
This 8x12 is our workhorse. It's what I print all the labels and specimens for the Type Foundry on. Let's take a look at that now.
This is the type form that we used for printing the labels and specimens for that cloister old style that's out there on the bank being packed right now. And down here next is the type form for that border that's on the bank. These are both locked up still because they are the most recent job. We're going to ink up the press and actually print a specimen card with this cloister type form right now. We pre-print these cards with the company name at the bottom and then imprint the card with whatever font or border we're offering, and we circulate these specimen cards for publicity. I'll go ahead and print the labels for the type box with this same form after I've printed specimen cards. This 4.5 by 6 Sigwalt is a working press. We actually print labels for our smallest type box on this press, and it works beautifully. This is our cylinder press from about 1920. It's a relatively new press compared to all of our others. It's a proof press, and it works pretty well for printing posters. I did this one on that press. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tour of Skyline. We like visitors here. Anytime you're coming through Central Arizona, give us an email. We'll be glad to roll out the red carpet for you. Meanwhile, we cordially invite you to take a look at our website, skylinetype.com, and take a look at the fonts and the borders and the collections and the initials we have for sale. We also offer used type. Have quite a bit of that, and business is good. Got a lot of it, thousands of pounds of it in our warehouse, and it'll be continually cycled into the section of our website called the junk bin. Meanwhile, happy printing. Adios.